It's a beautiful spring evening, May 1962. At Madison Square Gardens, people were buzzing. They were getting ready for a party, a birthday party, but not just any birthday party. This was a birthday party for the President of the United States. In the middle of the chaos of final preparations, a blonde bombshell sat quietly in her dressing room, waiting to put on a show the world wouldn't soon forget. She adjusted the strap on her dress, placed down one errant hair so it was laying just so, applied one final coat of bright red lipstick. She practiced her sultriest, silkiest voice in the mirror, the same way she had thousands of times before. She slipped into it seamlessly. Almost as seamlessly as she'd slipped into that barely there crystal-studded ball gown that she was wearing for the occasion. This was the ticket. This is what people wanted from her. To experience her, to be drawn in, electrified. And if there was one thing she understood, it was how to captivate an audience. The world fell in love with Marilyn Monroe. Her voice, her laugh, the way she seemed to glow, like she was lit up from something deeper than just the surface. She was soft, playful, magnetic, and everywhere she went, people watched her. But the woman behind Marilyn was much harder to see. Before she was Marilyn, she was Norma Jean. Born in the summer of 1926 in the heart of Los Angeles, baby Norma Jean's early years were far removed from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Born to a relatively unstable mother with no knowledge of who her father was, Norma Jean was shuffled off from household to household. Never quite settled, never quite chosen. Throughout the instability of her youth, Norma Jean found comfort, solace, and escape watching films at her local cinema, sitting there in the dark theater before a large screen with swelling music. Young Norma Jean was transported. For just a while, she was immersed in being someone else, someone else's life, someone else's story. Later on in her career, she would go back and reflect on the days she'd spent at the movies and how they completely changed the course of her life. I didn't like the world around me because it was kind of grim. When I heard that this was acting, I said, that's what I want to be. Some of my foster families used to send me to the movies to get me out of the house, and there I'd sit all day and way into the night. As she was shuffled from foster home to orphanage and everything in between, young Norma Jean learned something very early. That love isn't something that she could rely on. But being wanted, that was different. Being wanted got you attention, got you safety, got you seen. So she learned to soften, to smile, to become someone that people wanted to pay attention to. And it worked. You see, Norma Jean wasn't born Marilyn. She became her. Hey guys, it's Cata and welcome to my channel. This is my corner of the internet where I like to talk about famous figures, psychology, and archetypal patterns, and how we can use that knowledge to create a life we truly love. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in exploring further, I invite you to give this video a like and subscribe. I'd love to have you here. From the outside, it looked like destiny. By the time she was 18, she was already making strategic moves to make her silver screen dreams come true. Starting her career as a pinup model, Norma Jean got plenty of opportunities to practice magnetism and feminine allure. By the time she was 20, Norma Jean had adopted a new moniker, Marilyn Monroe, for its cachet and star power. She was given her first film contract by some rather reluctant executives. She spent months refining her craft, spending countless hours practicing her acting, singing, and dancing. Her instructors shared the filmmaker's skepticism about her star potential. At the time, she was generally thought of as too shy, too meek and too insecure to get very far in Hollywood. But Marilyn didn't let their doubts cloud her vision for the future. She remained focused, observed the industry with a keen eye, listened carefully to who people were telling her she needed to be. And eventually, something clicked. She started moving with more ease, speaking with undeniable charm, acting with allure. She started changing her physical appearance to match the internal changes that were happening as well. A brand new do of platinum blonde hair, punctuated by bright, punchy lips. Marilyn Monroe didn't just enter a room. She transformed it. There was something about her, not just beauty, but presence. She understood how to hold people's attention, how to create tension, and how to make everyone around her feel like they were a part of something special and intimate. She laughed easily, moved slowly, and spoke like every word mattered. And people didn't just look at her, they felt her. She didn't just attract attention, she held it. And for a moment, that kind of power felt like freedom. But as Marilyn grew and evolved, something started to change. The world didn't just admire Marilyn, it defined her. While she yearned to work in more compelling roles, Marilyn continued to be typecast on screen. While she longed for complexity, to be taken seriously in her craft, the world just wanted her for one thing: desirability. Although her stage persona was once the battle armor that she wore to win over Hollywood and the world at large, it eventually became a gilded cage that she couldn't escape. Again and again, the same roles, the same expectations, the same version of herself reflected back to her. And the longer she stayed trapped by the world's perception of who she was, the unhappier Marilyn became. The same thing that made her powerful became one of the greatest limitations of her life. Because when the world decides who you are, it becomes harder to remember who you were. Behind the image, there was exhaustion, loneliness, and a quiet kind of disconnection. She wanted to be taken seriously, to be valued beyond the surface, to be seen for the authentic version of herself. But every attempt to step outside of that identity was met with resistance. And so she stayed inside it. She smiled for the camera, posed for the picture. But inside, it tore her apart. Marilyn was an incredibly complex, sensitive, and self-aware person who never got the opportunity to share more than one facet of who she was with the world, which is how she found herself standing on that stage at Madison Square Garden that fateful evening in May. Her relationship with President John F. Kennedy had long been under the cloak of suspicion and gossip. But at that moment, as she walked onto the stage, it didn't matter. The crowd was roaring. The country waited on bated breath. Marilyn could feel them. Every eye in the nation was fixed on her, and she knew it. She sauntered up to the podium, shoulders held back gracefully. She parted her lips and began her jazzy rendition of the Happy Birthday song. For the occasion, she'd taken time to rework some of the lyrics as a special tribute to the birthday boy himself. The room was silent, electrified by that quiet energy that Marilyn seemed to bring with her everywhere she went. She didn't let it bother her. This was part of the game, part of the deal. And standing before the nation at the president's birthday was all the confirmation she needed. This is what people wanted from her. And if she wanted them to be there for her, she'd give them exactly what their hearts desired. The reality was, her reputation as a sex symbol was tearing her apart inside, leaving her feeling misunderstood. But it was better than being ignored, better than being alone, despite having millions of adoring fans. Professional success, beauty, wealth, fame, 3 shots at a happily ever after. Marilyn Monroe's life ended quietly, unassumingly, alone. At just 36 years old, the blonde bombshell who'd become the world's dream girl lost the opportunity to live the life that she'd been dreaming of for herself. Marilyn didn't lose herself all at once. She lost herself slowly in what everyone else wanted her to be. This is the shadow side of the lover archetype, because the lover is powerful. She connects, she attracts, she brings life to everything around her. But when that energy becomes externalized, when your sense of self starts to depend on how others respond to you, something shifts. Desire becomes dependency. Instead of choosing your life and experiencing it for yourself, you start performing it. When your identity becomes what others desire, you risk losing yourself, despite seemingly having it all. Adoring fans, successful career, money, beauty, fame. None of Marilyn's success could quench Norma Jean's need to be seen, to be appreciated, to be loved. She spent her whole life chasing a dream. Not the dream of fame and fortune, but the dream of being accepted for who she truly was. And this isn't just Marilyn's story. We see it everywhere. In the way we present ourselves, in the way we curate our lives, in the ways we measure our worth. We don't just live our lives anymore. We perform versions of ourselves that we think will be loved. When your value is placed on how you're perceived, you're always at risk of disappearing. Marilyn Monroe is more than just a symbol of desire. She was a woman who became so deeply identified with what the world loved about her that she struggled to exist outside of that. Because when you spend so much of your time focused on becoming what the world desires, you forget how to belong to yourself. If you're still here, thank you so much. Truly, I always have so much fun diving into these stories with you. If this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. What's one role or archetype that you find yourself living for others instead of for yourself? I would also be so appreciative if you guys would give this video a like, because it helps YouTube share it with other people who would enjoy this kind of content. If you haven't checked out the rest of my archetype videos, I'm gonna leave a link to the playlist on screen right now. So I will catch you over there, or I'll just see you next time. Until then, take care of yourselves. Bye guys.